fight is 3 rounds in the APFC Featherweight division, sponsored by Third Coast T-shirts. And now introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner, a mixed martial artist standing 5 feet 10 inches tall, official weight 145.8 pounds. Coming in tonight, making his debut from Chicago, Illinois, Izrael, the Hurricane Vargas. And across the cage, his opponent, fighting out of the red corner, a freestyle fighter standing 5 feet 7 inches tall, official weight 145.6 pounds. Coming in tonight with a record no victories with 1 defeat, from Genoa, Illinois, Daniel Peters. And your referee in charge is Josh Stewart.
Josh Stewart, our third man inside the second fight here at APFC X. Dan Peters, 28 years young, has a 9 years older David Evans. How does that affect this?
Man, there's something called old man strength. When you're a fighter, you just kind of, it takes time to develop that strength. I mean, no matter what you are with, his opponent coming in as a wrestler, he's obviously going to be strong. They're getting right away.
Peters starting fast. Vargas framing off, catches a left. Oh, big shots in the pocket. Izrael Vargas stunned. Head kick not connecting.
Intensity was the word I used when these guys were walking out. They're living up to that name. Peters right now is in a good position with Vargas against the cage. Vargas threw some pretty hefty strikes, and so did Peters. I think they're both still even right now, but Peters definitely has the better grappling position right now.
2:30 left on the clock here in round number 1. Dan Peters, again, looking for redemption and doing everything he can to get it, but Vargas has the positioning now.
Vargas did a great job with his defense. He was almost taken down, but got that crotch lift and was able to bump his opponent's hip off the center line. Now he's in a good cradle position. Right here, he can separate and strike, or he can just look to exploit, his grappling skills.
Oh, looking to lock something up here early in round 1.
It up. Looks like he's going to step over, and once he settles, Peters right now, he needs to fight the hands right as he is right there. He needs to get those hands off of his head, because Vargas, he seems to be a very qualified grappler, and his transitions are looking phenomenal right now.
Serious submission threats. Dan Peters almost fireman carried Vargas into the cage, but gave up some bad positioning.
Peters is using a lot of explosiveness, and sometimes when you're athletic and explosive, that can get yourself in trouble. I mean, if you think about jiu-jitsu, the art was crafted around that, right? Fighting explosive fighters. Now Vargas has his back. He has both hooks in, and he's going to look to continue to work. He's been transitioning and chaining attacks together from the moment he's got on the ground.
Looking for that right leg, Vargas.
Is he going to try to go knee bar here from the back?
Pops right out. Dan Peters now giving him some ground and pound for his troubles.
Peters now in a good position. He was looking to tie up the wrist on the left side, and now he's just raining blows. But what he needs to do is settle. He needs to settle into this position. He has the hooks, but he's kind of high. So look for Vargas to maybe try to shake him off and reach for the head or reach for the hands to try to get Peters off his back.
Vargas collapses, now trying to turn into Dan Peters. 40 left on the clock. What a frenetic grappling pace these two featherweights are setting.
Back and forth, man. I think it's still anybody's chance at this stage of the fight.
Now some strikes being levied from both guys. Dan Peters knocks him down. Vargas, the Hurricane, moments away from being put out.
Peters threw his entire body into that right hook over the top.
Final 10 seconds left. Can Vargas survive to round 2? What a discombobulating shot from Dan Peters.
Heavy hands by Peters. I mean, we see where he's looking to do. He wants to go out there and put his opponent's lights out.
Stalemate position to close it out, but that is a Dan Peters round if I've ever seen one.
Very much so, man. Just the heavy hands and just very explosive there. Vargas had his moments, don't get me wrong, but I think, if we're a judge, we're looking for damage. Speaking of damage, that left hand right down the middle puts his opponent down, and then he looks to follow up. Peters definitely has what we call the equalizer, right? That one-shot power to put you out at any moment.
you know, we talk about that southpaw versus orthodox style. Same situation applies here, and that is what Dan Peters utilized to crack Vargas's chin.
Very much so. I think Vargas needs to focus on circling away from his opponent's power. Anytime he sits and he's on the center line, Peters is literally launching his entire frame into those punches.
This fight brought to you by F3 Energy. If you need some boost in your system, I encourage you to pick up some F3 Energy. We've got the peach mood here at the booth,
Hey,
and boy, it's tasty.
I told you what, 10 minutes. I'm feeling it right now. I'm lit. You're in there.
Josh Stewart gets us going for round number 2 here between Izrael Vargas and Dan Peters, already starting off with a collision.
Peters looking to get right back to what got him here, right? Looking for his power shots, pressuring his opponent. Vargas doing a good job of wrapping his opponent up and getting his back against the cage. His grappling transitions in the last round were phenomenal. So look for him to try to get back to that, because that's where he feels he has the best chance to be successful.
Interesting spot here. Peters with that overhook almost, but pressed up against the cage. David, not really the best moment, but now we find ourselves on the canvas. That left arm's trapped to Vargas.
Peters has been doing a good job of kind of getting that seatbelt and looking for his opponent's opposite wrist to land strikes. And that just constantly puts him in a better position because, like you said, we know he has that power. And anytime he touches his opponent, Vargas is just scrambling to get out of there, even if he's on his feet.
And back to the feet we go. Dan Peters trying to jump right into the pocket once again. Vargas just covering up and eating these shots.
Combinations by Peter, and I like that. Though he's looking for the power, he's not just looking for one shot. He's following it up shot after shot after shot, and that's increasing his success.
There's a big kick from Vargas, but he is eating the 4-piece combo chicken sandwich from Dan Peters here in round 2.
Beautiful shot there by Vargas. He's looking to maybe settle in on his feet. However, I don't like the wrist there if I'm Vargas. We saw where Vargas could be successful. He was successful on the ground, and there he goes, right back into the shot.
90 seconds left in round number 2. Proverbial wisdom is, if we're grappling, I'm probably not getting punched in the face.
Very much so. I mean, that's the only way he's going to be able to mitigate Peters and his powers.
Oh, flattens him out with some time on the clock. The Hurricane with the best position of the round so far.
We spoke to the power of Peters, and then, no pun intended, we spoke to the power of Peters. So anything, when you're Vargas, when you're grappling your opponent, you have an athletic, explosive opponent like that, tying them up, wrapping them up, that's a way to drain their tank. And as we can see, Peters is waning slowly but surely.
Dan Peters trying to fight the hands, but the Hurricane submits Dan Peters in round number 2. Wendy's manager and now undefeated mixed martial artist.
Vargas went through the fire in that win. I mean, Peters literally threw everything that he had at him. We saw Vargas go down to a knee. We saw him get dropped. We saw him get haymakered a few times. However, he was able to be composed, and he saw his way through the fire, which got him the W tonight.
You cannot question the toughness and durability. David Evans, let's take a look at that replay. Here is Vargas just riding on the back and locking in that rear naked choke.
This is where Vargas had all of his success tonight. In that first round, we saw him transitioning, attack, attack, grappling attack. We almost saw a Darce finish, and that's where I thought he would try to keep the fight. However, it got out of his hands a little bit. Powers got on his feet. It was throwing the power that he had. And however, when Vargas made that adjustment, got back to his grappling, it saw him through the fight tonight.
The journey for Dan Peters' redemption will continue. We send it inside to Michael Hansen to make that stoppage official.
Our referee, Josh Stewart, put an end to the fight. The official time, 2 minutes and 12 seconds of round number 2. For your winner by submission via rear naked choke, Izrael, the Hurricane Vargas.
Got it done the only way the Hurricane knew how. He loved Mike Tyson growing up, was a big fan of the trash talk. Not that you could obviously repeat any of it, but you know, that's kind of a Tyson-esque go through the fire and then finish your opponent.
Very much so, man. I mean, we're off